much. It's a great honor to be here today. Thank you also for putting a plug in for Frank and Weenie, which is also the first Disney movie with the word weenie in the title. I want to thank all of you for making this the vital institution that it is. Producing the next generation of artists is no small thing to me, because you're really training the people that are going to chronicle our life and times. Because you see, I feel strongly that great civilizations aren't remembered by their interest rates or unemployment figures or the Kardashians. I feel that great civilizations are remembered exclusively by their artists, by their musicians, their architects, their designers. Today you're leaving the relative comfort of a college world and embarking on a lifelong journey. And to me that journey is a lot like whitewater rafting. You start out well prepared for anything and you push off, you get soaked, you get thrown out of the boat, you hit your head, you meet some nice people, you have a good lunch, and along the way you learn a lot about yourself. Thank you. It's the Kardashians, they're driving by. Tomorrow when you wake up with a raging headache, it'll be the first day of your new journey. Along the way you'll get wet and you'll probably hit your head a couple of times too, but you'll also make a lot of discoveries about yourself, and you'll never quite be that same person you are right now, sitting here today. And that's a great thing about a life in the arts. I'll use myself as an example. I started out positive that I was going to be a drummer. I have pictures of myself 3 years old with drumsticks in my back pocket. My story reads a lot like a lot of other American stories. My dad came over from Poland through Ellis Island. He was a machinist. I was born in Chicago. I came out and grew up in Southern California, not far from Disneyland, and I was crazy about all things Disney. We didn't go to the movies that much. I think I went to 2 or 3 movies in my whole childhood in a movie theater, but we went to drive-in movies, which for some of the younger people in the audience was a place where you could actually drive into a large parking lot and watch a movie from your car. As much as that might be shocking. Those movies are burned into my brain. 101 Dalmatians, The Jungle Book. I would go out and buy the soundtrack albums for those and memorize every word. Albums, once again, for you younger people, are large black vinyl discs. Put a needle in and it would reverberate with whatever was recorded on the disc. I attended a junior college in the San Fernando Valley and didn't know what I wanted to do, so I took classes in journalism, design, art history, public speaking, and music. I graduated with an Associate of Arts degree and still didn't know what I wanted to do, so printed on my diploma, and I'm not making this up, it says that I have an Associate of Arts degree in undeclared.
Yes.
Today I'm still a little undeclared, although I think of myself as an artist and a filmmaker, but I didn't study art or animation or film in school. I went to Cal State Northridge. I wanted to go to Cal Arts, but my family didn't have the money to send me there. And it was the best thing that could have happened for me, because I got a great initiation into the arts at Cal State Northridge, where I immediately joined the marching band with my drumming background, because I heard that it was a place where you can meet girls. It was a somewhat misleading statement. It's where I first learned the oxymoron and what an oxymoron meant when I heard the term hot marching band girls.
Freaks.
But it is where I met a guy named Don Clark, and Don was my drum teacher, but he was also a graphic artist during the day. So his day job was designing graphics, and he also loved music, and it was a revelation to me that I could do more than one thing. I didn't have to major in one thing, but I could do a little bit of everything. When my college days were over, I got a summer intern job at the Walt Disney Studios. I was about 20 or 21 years old, delivering coffee to people like Eric Larson and Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston and some of the great old animators that worked with Walt Disney back in the 30s and 40s. None of them went to animation school, because there were no animation schools when they were growing up. They were illustrators, though, and amazing fine artists. They were architects. They loved steam trains. One was a master fly fisherman. One was a fighter pilot in World War II. They didn't know what Wacom tablets were, or Adobe Photoshop, or Final Cut Pro. They didn't even have photocopiers or Maya software, and they didn't know what a venti soy latte was. And yet they created these astounding movies that inspired everything in me from the time I was a kid in the back of my parents' station wagon at the Rosecrans Drive-In Theater watching their movies. I wanted to be like them, so I started drawing. Not too long after, I moved into production and I got a chance to work on a movie called Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And this is a beginning of a lesson of failures. We had no computers. We actually drew the animation with pencils, as shocking as that may seem. It's still done that way for some of us.
Yep.
They were painted with paint and shot on film. And I would tell my story to my family. My sister would say, "What's the story of the movie you're working on?" I said, "Well, it's great. It's about this rabbit with a hot wife who gets framed for the murder of a cartoon studio head." And she said, "Well, good luck with that."
You didn't mention it, right?
The first audience screening was a disaster. We had about 50% of the audience walk out of the screening. But we regrouped, and we reanimated, and we finished it, and it turned out okay. Then I worked on Beauty and the Beast, and after a year of development, it wasn't that great, so the director resigned, and we brought in 2 new guys in their 20s. It was a battlefield promotion, and they had never directed a film before. Then our songwriter, Howard Ashman, became ill from AIDS and died during the production. We ran out of money, and our budget was so low that we didn't have time to animate the final scene. So we checked out the dancing scene from Sleeping Beauty of Aurora and the Prince dancing in the ballroom, and we erased them and turned them into Belle and the Beast dancing in their ballroom, just to finish the movie on time.
That's awesome.
Honestly, you can put them side by side. It's embarrassing to say that now, but it got the movie done. The next film was called King of the Jungle, and I couldn't get anybody to work on it because my pitch when I sat down with animators, I said, "This is going to be great. It's Moses meets Joseph and Hamlet in Africa with music by Elton John." They all said, "Good luck with that."
Yeah.
Eventually we renamed it to The Lion King, and it's still the highest grossing Disney animated movie of all time. For the last 4 years, I was working on a movie called Chimpanzee that just came out a couple weeks ago. And thank you. We spent a year shooting in the Ivory Coast, and one day the principal character, the mom in the show, wandered off and was killed in the jungle. The movie was over. We called the studio and said, "There's no way we can finish this movie," except then something worse happened. There was an election in the Ivory Coast, and a civil war broke out. We had to get the film crew out, and for a year we had to stop filming. When we went back in with the UN escort, the stars of our show were missing. We finally found one of them up a high tree, and he was in the middle of mating season. It took weeks to find our star of our show, and eventually we finished the movie, and now it's in the top 10 nature movies of all time. So what I learned is that it's almost a great sign of good luck when things go horribly, horribly wrong. I learned to create something unique, and to create something unique, you need incredibly smart people, persistent people, and you need to work on story over and over and over again until it's right. You can't let failure or even a little civil war stand in the way. I learned that to succeed, you have to fail a lot, and if you want to succeed faster, you have to increase the frequency of your failures. I learned that you have 10,000 bad drawings in you, and the sooner you get them out, the sooner you get to the good stuff. I learned not to be afraid of being afraid. There's a lot of blank canvases in your future, graduates, and that's a scary thing. It's okay to be scared. It means that you're pushing up against change, and change is almost always frightening. So I'm very proud and honored to be here today in Laguna because, you see, for me, a life in the arts is a very, very high calling indeed, because it fulfills one of mankind's 3 basic needs: food, shelter, and storytelling. Yes, storytelling. The reason the great cultures of the world are remembered for their art is that the artists are the storytellers of their time. We always crave stories, just like we crave food and shelter. From the Odyssey to Hamlet to Hans Christian Andersen to the Avengers, mankind has always valued the work of the storyteller. And that means you. No matter how much the world changed in the years ahead, will always value your ability to tell a story through your art. So I congratulate all of you storytellers, the artists, the interpreters of our times, on all that you have accomplished here today. I want to thank the families that supported you. Imagine how they originally felt when you said you wanted to be an artist and design video games. Now they look back and celebrate because they can see you were serious about doing what you're doing, and you were incredibly forward-looking because the video game industry this year is a $65 billion industry worldwide. You chose wisely. As we celebrate your accomplishment, I want to tell you something that'll make you relax a little bit about the rest of your life too, and enjoy that journey. Because when you wonder, well, what's my job as an artist? Can I get a job? I have the answer. You know what your job is? From here on out, your job as an artist is to be the best you that you can be. I'm here to ask you to not be like me, that job's taken already, but to be like you, the authentic you, the only you. And the good news is you already know how to do that. That's not just good, that's great. That's insanely great. You are the author of the narrative of your time here on Earth. You're an artist and your job is to show us your world and tell us your stories. Today we are all here to celebrate and tell you that we believe in you, we believe in your art, and we can't wait to hear the stories that you have to tell. Congratulations.